Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naranjaiva Narottamam
Naranjaiva
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim
Tato Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Ashtaprayeshu Bhadresu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya
Bhagavate Uttamasloke
Bhagavate Uttamasloke
Bhaktin Bhavatir Naistiti
Bhaktin Bhavati Naistati
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Nandagopa Kumaraya
Nandagopa Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. Today we are going to discuss Canto 1, Chapter 19, text number 13. 1, 19, 13. The chapter name is The Appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. So this is the continuation. Please repeat behind me. Rājovāca. Aho vayam dhanya-tamā nṛpāṇāṁ.
Aho vayam dhanyatamā
mahat-tama anugrahaṇīya-śīlāḥ.
mahattamānugrahaṇīya-śīlāḥ.
Rājñām kulam brāhmaṇa-pāda-śaucād.
Rājñām kulam brāhmaṇa-pāda-śaucād.
dūrāt visṛṣṭaṁ bata garhya-karma.
Dūrād visṛṣṭaṁ bata garhya-karma.
Word by word meaning, please repeat behind me. Rājovāca.
Rājovāca.
The fortunate king said,
The fortunate king said,
Aho,
Aho,
vayam,
vayam,
we,
we,
dhanya-tamāḥ,
dhanyatamā,
most thankful, nṛpāṇāṁ,
nṛpāṇāṁ,
of all the kings,
of all the kings,
mahat-tama,
mahat-tama,
of the great souls,
of the great souls,
anugrahaṇīya-śīlāḥ,
anugrahaṇīya-śīlāḥ,
trained to get favors,
trained to get favors,
rājñām,
rājñām,
of the royal, kulam,
kulam,
orders,
orders,
brāhmaṇa-pāda,
brāhmaṇa-pāda,
feet of the brāhmaṇas,
feet of the brāhmaṇas,
śaucāt,
śaucāt,
refuse after cleaning,
refuse of cleaning,
dūrād,
dūrāt,
at a distance,
at a distance,
visṛṣṭaṁ,
visṛṣṭam,
always left out,
always
bata,
bata,
on account of,
on account of
garhya, condemnable,
condemnable,
karma, activities.
activities.
Translation and purport is Divine Grace Abhay Charnavadi A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Translation. Please repeat begin me. The fortunate king said,
The fortunate king said,
Indeed,
Indeed,
we are the most grateful
we are the most grateful
of all the kings
of all the kings
who are trained to
who are trained to
get favors from the
get favors from the
great souls.
great souls.
Generally, you,
Generally,
the sages,
sages
considered
consider
royalty as
royalty as
refused to be rejected
refused to be
refused
rejected
to be rejected
and left in a distant place.
and
and left in a distant place.
Purport. According to religious principles, stool, urine, wash water, etc. must be left at a distance, long distance. Attached bathrooms, urinal, etc. must be very convenient amenities of modern civilization, but they are ordered to be situated at a distance from the residential quarters. That very example is stated here in relation to the kingly order of those who are progressively marching back to Godhead. Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu said that to be in intimate touch with dollars and centmen or the kingly orders is worse than suicide for one who desires to go back to Godhead. In other words, the transcendentalists do not generally associate with men who are too enamored by the external beauty of the God's creation. By advanced knowledge in spiritual realization, the transcendentalist knows that this beautiful material world is nothing but a shadow, shadow reflection of the reality, the kingdom of God. They are not, therefore, very much captivated by royal opulence or anything like that. But in the case of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, the situation was different. Apparently, the king was condemned to death by an inexperienced Brahmana boy, but factually he was called by the Lord to return to him. Other transcendentalists, the great sages and mystics who assembled together because of Mahārāja Parīkṣit fasting unto death, were quite anxious to see him, for he was going back to Godhead. Mahārāja Parīkṣit also could understand that the great sages who assembled there were all kind to his forefathers, the Pandavas, because of their devotional service to the Lord. He therefore felt grateful to the kings for being present there at the last stage of his life. And he felt that it was all due to the greatness of his late forefathers or grandfathers. He felt proud, therefore, that he happened to be the descendant of such great devotees. Such pride of the devotee of the Lord is certainly not equal to the puffed up sense of vanity for material prosperity. The first is reality, whereas the other is false and vain. Om Tasya. Om Ajnana-timbrandasya Jnanāñjana-śalākaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu-padāya Krishna-prishthāya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyapad Pāśāśya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, today the sloka, so yesterday we saw the king came to the banks of the Ganges and he was sitting and he left all the kingdom, all the opulences. Now he took the path of spiritual path. He wanted to take the path of spiritual since he got the time frame of 7 days. So here in this sloka, it is mentioned that the fortunate king said, why he is very fortunate? Because he came to know his death. Not everybody know. Others, we never know when we are going to die. Nobody knows when we are going to die. When the time is come to us. Even though the person who is in the severe problem, maybe the extreme stage of cancer and all, the doctors will say, okay, this person will be there for a couple of weeks, 1 more week, 2 days. But they don't know when or how it will happen. And there may be some miracle that the person may be prolonged and extended his lifetime beyond that, whatever the doctor is saying also. So this all happens because nobody can predict when you are going to die. But this king, he was able to hear that when he was living itself, he understand that he heard that we are going to, and he is going to die within 7 days. Within the 7th day, he is going to die. So that is that's why here we are calling him as a fortunate king. And so he is saying that we are the most grateful of all the kings. So why he's talking about we means in the sense he's talking about all the Pandavas and his forefathers and his relatives, everything is himself also in this place. So he is most fortunate for all the kings who trained. So kings are always trained under the great souls. Always. The Gurukula study was always with the great souls, under the great sages. So the sages are the great souls. So why sages are great souls? That's why next line it is mentioned. Why we are considering them as great souls? Because they reject the royalty and they will keep distance from the material opulences. So that is the reason they are great souls. Even though all the 99% of the people in the world are attracted by this material God's creation, the beauty of the material creation, like material opulences, money, and all the natural resources as well as buildings and all the opulences like car, all the facilities. Everybody, 99% of the people get attracted towards that. But the sages, even though they are provided with all the opulences, they will reject that. So that's the reason they are great souls. Why we are calling them but in the common people, in the non-devotees perspective, they are foolish. If they'll say that everybody is getting this many opulences, why they are not enjoying their life? So because that is the understanding of the non-devotees. Non-devotees in the sense who are not understand the spiritual path, who are all materially engrossed with the material opulences. But the sages who are the self-realized souls, who are in the path of self-realization, they know that this material opulences and all, it is a temporary thing and it is not going to take them anywhere. It will keep the soul within this material world only. Again and again, we need to take the repeated birth and death. So that is the thing it is going to do. So let me go out of it, stay away from this. That is the understanding of the great souls. So that's why they are keeping away from themselves from the material opulences. And even Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he said, so the intimate touch with the kingly opulences persons, kings, and all the who are the materially who are materially well versed, who are the rich people, connecting intimate, who keeping the intimate relationship with them is the how it is. It is worse than the suicide of for one who desires to go back to Godhead. It is a worse than the suicide. So if you want to go back to Godhead, we need to keep away from this materialistic people, as materially opulent people, as well as ourselves also. Even though we are having the material, we need to stay detached. So that is the way this Bhagavatam is telling us that whatever the material thing we are getting in this world, it is just to keep our body and soul together. So that much opulences, that much material things are enough for us. And this is the life God given to us for the self-realization. So not to get into the competition with the other materialistic people. Okay, you are getting more salary, you are getting you are accumulating more wealth, I am accumulating more wealth, and also with the other relatives and the neighbors and the friends. Okay, who is going to be a richer person? So this is not like that. So yesterday I saw one of the video, one of the person, even though he was an uneducated person, he was telling, who is happy in this world? Are you happy? Like that, when somebody asking to him, the person is saying that because he is a very poor person, he don't have any house. He was living whatever the work he is doing, the labor work he was doing. He is actually not a well-versed person. He was doing some labor work, day-to-day labor work. So whatever the money he is giving, he is eating, and that's all. Like that, he was living. So that person is saying that, see, the persons, anybody living in this world, anybody and everybody, you are going to die one day. That is for sure. And also, the persons who are accumulating the wealth, they are always in the fear that how can I keep this all this wealth and how can I increase this wealth? They are always in that mood only. Their mood they cannot sleep properly and they cannot live their life happily. See, today I got some 200 rupees today. I had a food, I'm enjoying, that's all. I don't want to skip for, okay, tomorrow what will happen? I don't have any problem. Tomorrow I have, and I know that some work will be, I will get some work and I will get the prasadam and I will be happy. And I don't have any car. I'm walking. So I'm going through all the places by walk. So I'm healthy. By doing this, I'm healthy. I'm eating little food only. So I'm not putting weight. So I'm walking, I'm doing exercise. It's kind of an exercise, and my body is also, it is not, I don't have any other money to take care of me. But since I'm living in this place, which is not very much filthy, very much healthy place, that's why I'm getting the immunity power also because of that. The person, he was saying that I have the more immunity power. I'm happy, but these things are not there with the person who is having the richer, who is having the richness in this material world. Yes, definitely that is the case because people are rich people, they always see the, okay, hygienic place. I need to stay in the hygienic place. So because of staying in the hygienic place, more hygienic, they see the more hygiene. They're not touching the earth, the land, the mud. So they want to be hygiene. So that means they are not staying away from this and this because of by the name of hygiene, they are staying away from all this richness of this material world, But they are thinking that the illusionary riches, whatever they are accumulating, that is the rich. So since they are away from this material, even though the material world provided with all the facilities like natural air, the forest, they are staying away from this. They are staying in the city and they are dying. It's kind of a spiritual death. Even though they know that we need to go back to Godhead, and still they are continuing their life in the city life, and they are trying to save more money. They want to enjoy this material world. That means it is a spiritual death. It's called spiritual death. So the current situation, the 99% of the people, they don't have the faith in the God. They don't, because their forefathers never taught them how to live in this material world. What is the purpose of life? The forefathers never taught them, and they are also not interested in that. They are interested in eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. That's the reason the Kali Yuga is more degradation. So in that also, we are all, who are all understand, who are all having the faith in the God, and who are all wanted to progress in the self-realization and the God realization. They are very fortunate people. Why we are all very fortunate? Because we are in the progressive way of go back to Godhead. So this is so that is the reason here it is mentioned that the sages are more fortunate, and we are also need to follow. We are need to practice how the sages are detached from this material opulences and this material world. It is since we from the birth and till we get into the since we touch the Krishna consciousness time, we were engrossed with this, we were covered with this Maya. We were always thinking about how I can progress in my material life, how can materially improve, because we are from the middle class family or poor family. So we were struggled, my father struggled like this. I should not go into this way. My sons and my kids, my son or my daughter won't get into this, whatever I gone through. So these are the emotional things were there till we touch the Krishna consciousness. Once we touch the Krishna consciousness, we understand that material opulences and going behind this material opulences, enjoying that is not the goal of life. The goal of life is to go back to Godhead. Once we understand that, we started our detachment, but that is not happening fully. Why it is not happening fully? Because we have the legs in the both the sides, materially as well as in the spiritually. So this is not that is not a worst case, because since many people are only keeping their legs on the material place, still at least we got the taste of spirituality. So we are able to follow the spiritual as well as the material. And we are spending currently since we are connected with the material world, and we are connected with fully not fully in the spiritual side. So we supposed to work along with all the materially connected people. So that will attract sometime. That will the Maya, because Maya has so much attraction. It will do so much of tricks to attract towards it. So we should not, but we should not connect. We should not aspire to accumulate wealth and for our kids and for our next generation. It is not needed, because see, if you take a egg, a bird's egg, if we supposed to not if we supposed to it come out from the earth, the egg, the bird needs to open its wings inside. Then it needs to try within the egg, whatever it is there, the bird is there, or even it's a chicken. It's supposed to open his wings inside itself, and you need to try to break the egg, then you need to come out. So Lord made this way of creation. And if you see that the hen or the other birds, it won't touch the egg. They just watch whether it is coming out properly or not. Yes, if needed, they have their beak. They can in the beak. They can break the egg, and easily the chicken can come out, or the small bird can come out. But this mother bird, it won't do all those things. Why? Because when the bird inside the bird, if it is trying to come out from the shell, from the hard shell, it needs to open his wings, and it need to try more. So if when it was trying that, their wings become strong, then only it will come out from the shell. And once they come out, their wings become strong, because by birth itself they tried using their wings, and immediately easily they can fly, because they start the flying from the inside of the egg itself. The similar way, when we get into this spiritual path, and we should not worry about our next generation. Okay, I want to save something. I want to keep the land for my daughter or son. I want to keep the material opulence for my daughter or son. So what will happen? So it's like, suppose the person, one person, he is keeping a bird in his house, and he was seeing that the chicken is trying to come out. What he did? He took a knife and he broke the egg, and he took out the chicken, that small bird. Since he broke the egg by his hand, that in the bird inside, the small bird inside, it never tried how to use his wings. So it took some time to use his wings, and it was weak. It became weak. Why it is become weak? Because from the very birth, the God's creation is very birth onwards, they supposed to use their wings. They supposed to be strong. But the person not allowed for that. That's the reason that chicken became very weak, and it died there itself, because he unable to fly. So the similar way, we are also making our children in that way. So no other birds, no other creation, no other animals, if you see, they never help. They will protect their kids, that is fine. But they are always connected with the nature, and they won't accumulate any wealth for their kids. But in the human being only, we have the tendency to accumulate wealth for our next generation. I need to keep some money for my children. I need to keep a land for my children. So all those activities we are doing, because see, even the five, we are saying that only the animals and all, they have less in religion. But they are not less in religions. They are living under the nature's law. But we are going against nature law, and nature, whatever the nature taught the animals, the same teaching we are also getting. The animals, how they are living, they are not accumulating anything for their children. They are just, as long as they are small, they will be with their parents, and once they grown up, then they will go out from the nest, or they will go out from the cave or something. If it is animals, it is go out from the cave. If it is, once it is become young, it will go out from that. And like that small bird, as long as they are unable to open their eyes, unable to open their wings, they will stay with their mother. And once they are able to do, they will go away from the nest. And the mother and father, they won't accumulate anything about, okay, my children are coming, I need to create one house for them, let them be stay there. No, no. All the birds, they will create their nest of their own. It won't, nobody pre-prepared their nest. They will create their nest of their own. They take care of their food of their own. The similar way, human being also created in that way only. So all the human being, they need to, they survival of the fittest. So they have to take care of them. So take care of their own needs. I want this. Okay, for that, I need to work like that. So this is the way we supposed to be there. But the foolish people, what they are doing for the next generation, okay, so I'm accumulating this wealth for my children so that they won't go through the problems again. They have to go through problems, then only they can become, they can be strong. Like otherwise, how the chicken is dying, similarly, the next generation will die because they don't know the pain behind that. If they don't know the pain behind that, it will go off one day. Even the great kings who are living the few huge opulences, material opulences, material riches, if you see, only they are maybe the rich person, maybe 1 or 2 generations, 2, 3 generations only, they can continue their legacy. After that, if you see, they will become a beggar. Why? Even though the person who become a richest person, they become beggars after 2, 3 generations, because they are not aware of the pain behind that and how to keep the money and all. That's the reason the 3rd generation it will go off. So that this truth also we need to understand. If we coming accumulating wealth, it won't help. It will weaken our next generation. And one of the I can give one example in Tamil Nadu. One of the person, he was Vavu Chidambaram. He was the first person. He was the richest person in Thoothukudi. So he was the first person when during the British period. Because British period, they are doing their business to the next neighboring countries through ships. So there is no Indian ships during that time, all the British ships. So to take the food, the materials from one place to another, they have charged more money and the taxes are more, everything, if you use the British ships. So then during that time, this Vavu Chidambaram, who is from the Tamil Nadu, he thought that why can't we have our own ship? So then he got one own ship because that much riches he has. He is a richest person. Then he had his own ship. Then that way he was doing the business from here to the other neighboring countries, Burma, Myanmar, and all. He used to take all the materials from here to there for the business. That much opportunities he had. But the current situation, maybe he was living maybe some 78 years back, 80 years back only from now. If you see the current situation, his family and his descendants, his sons and after the son's son is some 3rd generation. Now they are working for 200 rupees, 300 rupees every day, and they are taking care of themselves. The richest person, some 80 years back, one of the richest person in Tamil Nadu, who bought a first ship in all over India, that person's son, the grandson, today they are living in a very poor way. They don't have a shelter also. 200, 300 rupees for they are struggling. Why? Because even though the person is keeping more wealth, it cannot sustain for after 2, 3 generations, because the 2, 3 generation, we are making them weak by giving them all the opulences. So that is the reason we don't want to worry about always one of the great leader, Abdul Kalam, was the former president of India. He used to say that don't keep any opulences, any riches under your pillow. While dying, don't keep anything under your pillow, very riches under your pillow. Means something they will put the will, okay, all this land is, I'm going to give it to my son, all much money I'm going to son. Don't keep anything under your pillow. Just give them the proper education. That's all. That's enough. They should go through all these pains and problems. They need to, then only they can sustain in this material world. That's the reason. That's why we also need to learn that we should not work for we don't want to work for our future generations foolishly. That is a foolish way of doing that, because anyway they can understand. We are making them weak. So that we need to understand from that, from this examples, whatever the things. So here also this sloka, today's sloka, what we discussed is, the sages are rejected the opulences. They will stay away from the opulences, because the opulences it will take away from the Krishna consciousness, God consciousness. They can't practice that. So the similar way, we also need to understand that whatever the opulences we are accumulating, it should be only for our use and not to take to the legacy of next generation, not needed. Because they know everyone provided with the capability, they need to struggle, and they need to go through all the pains and problems, then they will be strong in their life. So we should not weaken our next generation. And also, the only thing we need to give it to them is proper study. Study in the sense, not only material study, we need to give the spiritual study as well to them. So if you give the spiritual study, spiritual knowledge to the next generation, that should be given, so that they will also follow the same thing, and they will pass it. The spiritual knowledge will go through the next generation and the next generation. Because the current society, if you see, if you ask somebody who is Rama, who is Krishna, it is very, very, our generation, maybe in the who are on the 30, 40s, they know that who is Ram, who is Lakshman, who is Krishna. But some people, the younger generation, it is very, very poor now. They have the very, very poor knowledge now. They know only Superman, Spider-Man, because we are more connected with the Western world. That is the Maya. So please, all of your children, give the proper knowledge to all your children, spiritual knowledge, and give them the knowledge that the material thing is only to keep this body and soul together. So we also lead a life like a sage, in the sense, who are all know the Krishna consciousness, they also need to stay away from this material appearances, always connected with the Krishna, so that it is easy for us to attain Krishna early. Otherwise, we will be connected with Maya, we will be coming back here only always. So it is better to stay away from the material appearances and give this knowledge to our next generation. That is the only thing we are supposed to do. Hare Krishna. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.